Hello and welcome to a God is a Geek preview. My name's Adam Cook and I'm joined by Chris White. Hello, Chris.
Hello, mate.
We're here to talk about a game that I'm probably surely going to mispronounce within a few seconds, but let's just say what I see. Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, which is a game Capcom have shown, I think, a decent amount of, but it's also a game, well, I look at it and I go, I'm not quite sure what this is. So, Chris White, you went off to Capcom's offices and you played, I think, a few hours of it, didn't you?
Yeah, good solid 2 hours, I would say.
So I guess let's start there. Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. Chris White, you've played it. What is this game?
So I will do my very best to explain it as succinctly as I can. But yeah, going into it, I didn't know too much about it because I said in the preview that you can read. Sometimes I like to just not know. I like to just jump in and Capcom being Capcom, like they rarely put a foot wrong. Like they've got some amazing franchises that we all love on the site, obviously. And this could quite possibly be one of those new IPs that is another one to add to the list. Now, it's obviously too early to say because it's been 2 hours of a preview. But basically, Kunitsu-Gami, you are a guardian of this goddess called Yashiro, who does this Kagura dance. And at night, so it's split into day and night cycles. So in the day, your job is to recruit workers to your cause, and these workers are found over the little environment that you get, and they can be like, you can assign them basically job roles. So they can be woodcutters, which basically melee fighters. You've got archers. You've got these like sidekicks who can slow down time. So when enemies approach, they can like you slow them down, so it allows you to attack and stuff like this. So that's one of the things you have to do. Another thing, you have to prepare for the night. So at night, the Torii gates, which is at the end of the level, opens up, and all these enemies come through called the Seethe, which start to come through quite slowly. Then you wipe the first wave out, then the second wave come out, and there's more of them, and then more and more and more. So you're just constantly fighting these enemies. Now you can place these employees at night all around this area, and like the archers, you can place them further back, so you've got more of a line of defense. You can place woodcutters up close, and obviously you can get involved in the fight as well. You can let them attack, and you can maybe stay back and protect the maiden, the goddess or whatever. But you kind of, your attacks are very swift, smooth, very simple to do. You've got a select amount of combos, but not too much. But the emphasis is on definitely the visuals and how it looks, and also how easy it is to kind of get involved in combat. So also in the day, you're making a path for the goddess. It's not just a clever title. So you basically choose how far she can travel, and then she will start to do this dance, and she will dance along the path. And you have to think, I can't take her too far, because if I do that, the enemies can get to her quicker. But if she's too far back, you'll never progress enough. So that's one thing you have to think about as well. So essentially, tower defense, action, adventure, and there's like elements of I don't say Monster Hunter in terms of like the actual combat, but like the preparation between each level, and it takes place on this big mountain.
Okay.
From what I saw, there are a couple of like levels. There was one level out in the open. There was one level like in a cave, and then there were a couple of boss fights. But between everything, you have time to kind of equip totems and upgrade your fighters, and basically prepare for the next the next level or the next boss. So the levels were great. They were really, really fun. They were quite challenging as the further they got.
How long, like, would you... I mean, obviously, you didn't... You know, I presume as you play more later, we'll find out, obviously, like, the levels will perhaps get more difficult and longer, but, like, is it, like, pick up and play, like, quick stuff, or is it... Because you're talking strategy and then, like, it's, like, two phases, I guess.
Yeah, so the missions are quite... Like, some are... I mean, to be fair, you can make them last as long as you want. The day and night cycles happen. It's how quickly you want to do it.
Right.
But if you're too quick, obviously you might miss something. You might not prepare enough, and they do come thick and fast, the enemies. But you could do them like 20-minute bursts, I guess.
Okay.
It's not like one continuous game,
right.
if you get me.
And
There's always time to
combat-wise,
prepare.
like, because you mentioned that you're... Because I was trying to... There's a bit, and people should go and read on GodIsAGeek.com, the written preview as well. There was a bit in your preview you mentioned where I think you were talking about archers, where you sort of sent the archers to like a mountain. Well, I think was it archers? I forget now. But then you also called... I wasn't sure if you were saying you called them back then to sort of guard nearer her, or you can split them.
So what's really cool is the way that works is, depending on how many you've got in your, not really a party, but in your, like, the amount of employees you've got, you can basically switch individually between all 4 of them, or whatever, or 5, or whatever.
What, each, like, types of, or actual people?
So each person. So you'll have already, when you save them, because you have to remove this, like, black substance from them, and, like, basically purge this defilement, is what they call it. And when you do that in the day phase, they then become yours. So you amass this, like, roster of employees, I guess. And in the actual heat of a battle, you can do it when you know in the day, but at night you can switch between them quite swiftly and move them on the fly. So you don't just put them where you want and then that's it.
So it's quite like strategic. Then you can.
It is, yeah, and it's very quickly and easily done.
Do you like so could you say, all right, I want all 5? Let's say you've saved 4 people. You got 4 employees, like you say. Can you make? Do you choose their job, or are they like, hey, I found Chris and he's a mage? Do you know, like?
So if you find them as just people, and then you assign them their role, so you can make 4 archers if you want.
So you could do that.
All like melee. But the thing is, I only found there was only 3 roles. I think there's more. So
yeah, like 2 hours though. I mean,
yeah, obviously the more you play, there's going to be loads of different ones. So there's going to be even more strategy. But like there was at times when I thought, right, I'll be smart. I'll have 2 melee, so they can kind of stay quite close to the gate, and 2 a bit further back to kind of protect the goddess, so the archers, so that if anyone does get through, there's archers to take them out. And then I'm there as well. But then there's like little paths that kind of go round. So you have to think, if someone gets through there, who's protecting that area? Is it going to be me, or do I just place like an archer further back on this separate path and trust myself to kind of take anyone out that comes that way?
But I guess it's like if you do put an archer there to protect a small path. So like if you put a particularly weak archer, you know, it's like any game. If an archer's firing off arrows, but then enemy's quick and gets to them, you can take them out. So like it sounds a lot more strategic than I was expecting. If I'm honest with you, what you're describing sounds like there is a lot more strategy here than
there is. Yeah, and like I'm excited to see how that all plays out with the more roles and the tougher enemies later down the line, and there'll probably be bigger levels, because some of the levels are quite staged. So you go through one gate, then there's another section of the area where there's another gate, and so on. And also, the gate itself, when it opens in the evening, at night time, there's like this area around the gate which, if you go into, it will take down your health. So if you place woodcutters too close and they get in, their health will deplete. But that's another thing. You can heal them up quite quickly, and you get a certain amount of health to use on them, and you can find it around in the day, like there's certain places where you can find some extra health to use, or like whatever. So there's all that as well. But it's good. It's a really fun game to play. Like there is that strategy, but the combat is just so satisfying. But also, like it looks absolutely amazing. Like it looks
that is
beautiful.
I'm guessing it's RE Engine. I mean, all Capcom games.
Yes, it is.
The one thing you can say about Capcom is like their games tend to look very good these days. That engine's
it does, and in the like the fast-paced kind of environment and the action and the combat, it just looks so good. And then you've got the boss fights, which are like the first boss wasn't too challenging, but the second one was like, all right, sod. It like used aerial attacks, and it can kind of come at you straight away, and it wipes off a lot of damage if you're not careful. So you've got like the different attack patterns of the bosses as well, and but I was really impressed. I kind of came away thinking something has to be really bad in this game to really make me not want to play more.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, 2 hours isn't a lot, but it's enough to kind of know, I think.
Yeah. No,
to
well,
set
the biggest thing is I
precedent.
think from talking to you, I understand what kind of game it is now. Like
I'm glad I've
I had a
explained it well enough.
feeling. No, you have. You really have. Well, you have for me. I can't comment on what people will
Yeah.
feel, but I feel like now I understand. Like it is, like you say, it's like a not a tower defense, but sort of. But there's an RPG element here. There's It sounds more like almost like a combo of a tower defense and an RTS, but not no, because it would. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it just sounds like an interesting game. Like it just sounds like
Got a lot going on,
Yeah.
but it does it all very well.
Thank you very much for doing that, Chris. Appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed
No
it.
problem.
Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, go to godisageek.com. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell button. All the stuff that we do is on here. And if you do want more of this kind of stuff, go to patreon.com/godisageek, where there's an exclusive podcast that we do and other content and a Discord to get involved in. Thanks again, Chris, and we'll speak to you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.